Hello guys, welcome to Sunya IAS. So today we are here very close to our journey which began with the topic of the average, then we saw percentage, ratio proportion, then we moved on towards somewhat difficult topics, so to say, such as time and work, the climax in the form of speed, distance and time, and then some random topics were there such as number system, permutation combination, and finally we are here at the end where we are having some uncategorized questions which cannot be put into any particular chapter. Okay, so today we are discussing those miscellaneous topics, right? And for the miscellaneous topics, we'll be having two sessions. In this first session, in this first part of the video, we'll be discussing about those questions which do not require any special concept to solve. The basic idea between them is just you have to frame an equation and to solve it. Okay, so the questions we are going to discuss today will be simply word problem questions. Okay, so let us begin our discussion without any further waste of time. And so here you can see this is our online and offline hybrid course which we provide. And the questions we are going to discuss today do not require any special knowledge of any particular topic. It requires just the mathematical aptitude of writing an equation. Okay, so on that note, let us begin. So we have this first question. It says Rakesh and Rajesh together bought 10 balls and 10 rackets. Rakesh is spending this much amount and Rajesh is spending this much amount. Okay, so let us write it down. What is the total cost, the total payment they are doing? The total payment they are doing is equal to, by Rakesh it is 1300 and by Rajesh it is 1500. That is, overall they are making a purchase of rupees 2800. Okay, and what do they purchase? They are purchasing 10 balls and 10 rackets. Okay, so now the further question says each racket costs 3 times the ball. Then what is the price of a racket? So we have to find the price of a racket, okay, in this question. So let us assume the price of racket as P. Sorry, not P, but R. And let us assume the price of the ball as simply B. So one can say that after purchasing 10 balls, so we have 10 into B. So we have 10 balls into the price of one ball will be the total amount spent for the balls. Then we have 10 into R, which is 10 is the number of rackets, into the price of each racket, that is, this is the total amount 10R which is spent on the rackets, and this total comes out to be equal to 2800, right? You can further simplify this equation by cancelling 10 and you can get B plus R is equal to 280, right? Further, the question says that each racket costs 3 times a ball. So one can say that R is nothing but equal to 3 times B. So this is a second equation. Now what we can do is that in order to find the price of a racket, that is the value of R we have to find. For that, what we can do is that we can substitute this value of R here. So we'll get B plus we put the value of R as equal to 3B is equal to 280. On further simplification, we get 4B is 280, and on cancelling it out, we get B is equal to 70 rupees. But it is not the price of the ball we are interested in. We are interested in the price of a racket. So price of racket is nothing but 3 times the price of a ball, which is nothing but 70 rupees, or 210 rupees overall is the price of each racket. So we have option number C as the correct option in this case. Okay, moving on, we have this question. A vessel full of water weighs 40 kg. So let us draw a vessel. So suppose this is a vessel and this vessel is full of water. So let us fill it with water. So as you can see, I am filling it with water. So I guess it is done. And then what you are doing next is that it is weighing how much? A vessel full of water is weighing 40 kg. So when you place this vessel which is full of water, you get the total weight of 40 kg. You can say if the weight of vessel is V and the weight of overall water is W, you are getting the sum to be equal to 40 kg, right? Now what is happening? If the same vessel is 1/3 filled, so now you have the same vessel which I am drawing here again, and now it is only 1/3 filled. So let me fill it to the 1/3 level. So suppose this is here only 1/3 filled. So here its weight is coming out to be 20 kg. So when this vessel is 1/3 filled, the weight becomes 20 kg. So what is the overall weight in this case? We have the weight of the vessel V, which is the same. But now the water is only 1/3. So we take weight of water as simply W by 3. So initially we had full water whose weight was W. Now we have only 1/3 water whose weight is W by 3. So we get this particular equation. Now obviously you can see in this particular equation you are not liking the fraction part of it. You do not like this W by 3. So what we'll do, we'll just multiply the whole equation by 3. So on multiplying the equation by 3, V multiplied by 3 becomes 3V. W by 3 multiplied by 3 becomes simply W. And finally we have 3 into 20, that is 60 kg. This is the second equation in a much simpler form. So what we have to find eventually, we have to find the weight of the empty vessel, that is we have to find the weight of V. What we'll do, we'll just use these two equations to get the answer. So let me erase it and let us write. So we have the first equation as 3V plus W is equal to 60, and the second equation is V plus W is equal to 40. Now what we can do is that we can subtract this equation from the above equation. What will happen when we subtract? We get rid of this W, we get 3V minus V, which is 2V, and the value will be equal to 60 minus 40, that is 20. So from here you can further say that the value of V from here is coming out to be 10 kgs, and that is the weight of the empty vessel, that is option number A. Okay, so by simply framing the equations and having the idea that what is being asked, so in this case a diagram was really helpful, so to visualize the idea, and you can see just by writing simple equations you could have solved the question, right? Moving on further, we have this question number 3. It says, in aid of charity, every student in a class contributes as many rupees as there is number of students in a class. Okay, so there is some charity event going on in a school, and each student is contributing the amount which is equal to nothing but the number of students in the class. So let's say that number of students in the class is equal to n. So what is contribution of each child? The contribution of each student, that is also equal to the number of students, that is equal to n. So what will be the total contribution? Total contribution will be number of students multiplied by contribution by each student. So total contribution will be equal to number of students, which is n, multiplied by the contribution by each student, which is n. So we get the value of n square. Now the question further says, with an additional contribution of ₹2 by one student only. So out of the n students, there is only one student who is contributing ₹2 more. So out of this total amount n square, we have additional contribution of ₹2. So now the contribution becomes how much? We have contribution as n square plus 2. Okay, this additional contribution of ₹2. Okay. Then the total collection becomes ₹443. So the total collection will be 443. Then how many students are there in the class? It is asking what is the value of n simply. What we have to do? We have to just solve this simple equation. You can see if we subtract 2 from here, you get n square is equal to 441. Now it goes without saying that you must be aware that 441 is nothing but the square of 21. So n will be under root of 441, and this value will be equal to 21. So correct answer is option number B, that is 21, right? Moving on, we have this question, question number 4. It says that in a class there are 18 very tall boys. So very tall boys are 18 in number. Further, it says that these constitute 3/4 of the boys. Okay. So if total number of boys is B, then what is the number of tall boys? They are nothing but 3/4 of B. So these tall boys or very tall boys are nothing but 3/4 of B. From here you can see 3/4 of B is equal to 18. So one can simply say that 18 is equal to 3/4 of nothing means but multiplication, and we have a B. And ultimately when we cancel all these value out, we get B as 6 into 4, that is 24. So the number of boys in the class is nothing but 24, right? So how did we figure out? By the number of very tall boys, we actually figured out the number of total boys. Now further the question says the total number of boys is 2/3 of the total number of students. So whatever be the number of students are, number of boys is 2/3 of that total amount. So we can say that if total students are T in number, then boys are 24, which are nothing but how much? 2/3 of the total students, which is 2/3 of T. So here you can simply say that you are going to have 24 is equal to 2/3 into T. On cancelling all of it out, you get the total number of students as simply 36. So one can say total number of students in the class are 36. Now the question further says, what is the number of girls in the class? For that simply you have to subtract from the total students, just subtract the number of boys. So number of girls, let me write it somewhere else by clearing some space. So let us create some space in this zone. Here one can say that number of girls, which is capital G, is nothing but total students minus the number of boys. So G will be equal to 36 minus 24, which is equal to simply 12. So we have option number B here as the correct option in this case. Okay, so you can see simple equations. There's nothing much difficult about it. These are very simple and trivial equations which will help you to reach your destination, which is nothing but the correct answer. Moving on, now we have this question. So in a box of marbles, you know, marbles, not the one you eat, I know, because there was some candy by the name of marbles, but the ones you play with that are of different colors. So there are 3 less white marbles than the red ones. Okay, so suppose there are red marbles with the number of R. So red marbles are R in number, and let's say white marbles are W. It says that there are 3 less white marbles than the red ones. So one can say that W is nothing but R minus 3. The number of white marbles is 3 less than the red ones. So we just subtract 3. Now the question further says, and 5 more white marbles than the green ones. So let us assume the number of green marbles to be capital G. So one can say that there are 5 more white marbles than the green ones. So white or W is nothing but G plus 5. 5 more white marbles than the green ones. These are the two simple equations. Now the question further says that if there are total of 10 white marbles, if the number of white marbles, that is W, is equal to 10, how many marbles are there in total in the box? So in this first equation, you can simply write it like this, that 10, which is W, is nothing but R minus 3. So you can say number of red marbles R will be 10 plus 3, which is 13. Similarly, here in this part of the question, you can say that if W is equal to 10, we have 10 equal to G plus 5. So the number of green marbles will be simply 10 minus 5, that is simply 5. So what is the total number of marbles? Total number of marbles, which is being asked, how many marbles are there in the box? That would be quite simple. So let me just choose a red pen. So total marbles will be W plus the red ones, that is R, plus the green ones, that are G. W is nothing but 10 plus 13 plus 5. So when you add all of them up, you get 28 as the total number of marbles. That is option number B is the correct option in this particular case. Okay, so here you can see quite simple of an approach. There is nothing complex, nothing difficult about it. The only thing is you must know how to convert these words which are written here into these equations. That is the art which you must master to win the game of CSAT. Okay, moving on to the sixth question. The sixth question says, in a parking area, total number of wheels of all the cars, that is the four-wheelers, and the scooters and motorcycles, that are two-wheelers, is 100 more than the twice the number of vehicles parked. Okay, so the first equation, or the first line here, the first statement given here, which is more than half of the whole question, is quite a long line. Okay, so let me just simplify it or break it down for you. So there is some parking lot in which there are cars or four-wheelers being parked. So let us assume the number of four-wheelers as capital F. And there are some scooters or motorcycles, that is basically two-wheelers, are being parked. So number of two-wheelers, let us assume the number to be T. Okay, so F is for four-wheeler, and T is for 2, that is two-wheeler. So these, if you notify your variables like this, F and T, there will be much less confusion instead of if you assume them X or Y. If you assume them X or Y, there is scope for mistake, scope for confusion, but here will be very easy with the equation framing. Okay, now we have the question further says the total number of wheels of all the cars and all the two-wheelers. So what is the total number of wheels? So if there is one car, total number of wheels will be 4. So if there are total F cars, number of wheels will be 4 into F. Then for two-wheelers, if there are T number of two-wheelers, total number of wheels will be twice, because they are simply two-wheelers. So 2 into the number of two-wheelers. These are the total number of wheels, and this is 100 more than, this quantity is 100 more than the twice the number of vehicle parked in the parking lot. So this overall number of wheels is 100 more than twice of the total number of vehicles parked. So total number of vehicles parked are simply F plus T, the four-wheelers and the two-wheelers. So is this particular equation clear to you? Let me just repeat it again, because I know it might be complex to understand. So simply total number of wheels of cars and scooters, that is two-wheelers. So for four-wheelers, there will be 4 into F wheels. For two-wheelers, there will be 2 into T wheels. And the number of wheels is 100 more than twice the number of vehicles parked. The number of vehicles parked are simply F plus T. Okay. Now we have to just simplify this equation. We have here 4F plus 2T is equal to 100 plus 2F plus 2T. Simply you can see 2T will be cancelled out from both sides. And what we have to find ultimately, we have to find the number of cars parked. The number of cars parked is simply F. So in this equation, we have to find the value of F. So T is cancelled now. Luckily, we have 4F minus 2F, that is simply 2F, is equal to 100. On further cancellation, you will see that the value of F, that is the number of cars, is coming out to be 50. Okay. So here the correct option is going to be option number C, that is 50. Okay. So as you can see, this equation might be slightly complex to make, but once you get the idea, it is not that difficult. Okay. Moving on, we have this question. Here some basic idea of percentage is required, but that is quite trivial. So as per an agreement with the bank, a businessman had to refund a loan in some equal installment without interest. So there is no discussion about simple interest, compound interest, anything. After paying 18 installments, he found that 60% of his loan was refunded. So how many installments were there in an agreement? So let us assume there was some loan and it was broken down into some equal installments. So let us say number of installments were capital T. Now the question says, after paying 18 installments, 60% of the loan was refunded. So one can simply say that 60% of T out of the total installments, 60% of the total is paid by 18 installments. So this will be the simple equation you can extract from all these lines, that 60% of T is 18. Now the question becomes quite simple. We have 60% of T, which is nothing but, you can convert this percentage into a fraction. So you know how to do that. We have discussed that in the percentage topic. Just divide this percentage by 100. So we get 60 by 100. Of is nothing but multiplication into T is 18. After some simple cancellations, you get total number of installments as 30. So there are overall 30 installments going to be paid. Okay, so that was question number 7 for you with a basic idea of percentage. Similar question is there also again, question number 8. It says that A and B decide to travel from place X to place Y by bus. Now A has how much amount? A has rupees 10 with him. And he finds that 80% of the bus fare for 2 persons, he can pay with this 10 rupees. So if he is having 10 rupees in the pocket, he can pay 80% of the total fare for 2 people. So simply you can say that if fare for 2 people is, let's say, T, then you can say that 80% of this total fare T can be paid by rupees 10. So that is equal to rupees 10. Now let us do the same thing which we did previously. We have 80%, which is nothing but 80 upon 100, right? Just converting the percentage into a fraction. Then we have of is nothing but multiplication. So T is like this. When we do all the cancellations, you get the value of T as simply 100 by 8. And this value will be nothing but 12.5 rupees. So the fare for 2 people T is going to be nothing but 12.5 rupees. Okay. This he has to pay, but he has only 10 rupees. Now what is happening? B finds that he has rupees 3 with him. So what is the amount with B? Rupees 3. And it hands it over to A. So the same amount of 3 is handed over to A so that he can pay the fare. So total amount with A is now 10 plus 3, that is rupees 13 he is having. Okay. So now he have to make a payment of 12.5 and in his hand A has rupees 13. So what is the correct statement? So he has obviously enough money to buy the ticket, and even after purchasing the ticket, he will have 0.5 rupees more, which is nothing but 50 paise. So the correct option will be option number C. After buying the 2 tickets, A will be left with 50 paise. Right? So that was question number 8 with some basic idea of percentage. Now we'll move on to further questions. And now let us read this particular question now. In an objective type test of 90 questions, 5 marks are allotted for every correct answer and 2 marks are deducted for every wrong answer. After attempting all the 90 questions, a student got a total of 387 marks. So what is the number of incorrect responses he filled? Okay, so let us try to understand the scenario. There's some exam going on which is quite similar to the prelims examination. There is also negative marking, right? So let us assume that out of the 90 questions, he made some incorrect choices and he made some correct choices. Let us assume the incorrect choices as x because that is the number we have to find. So the correct choices will be nothing but 90 minus x. The remaining will be simply 90 minus x. Okay, since he is attempting all of them. And for every right answer, you are getting plus 5 marks. And for every wrong answer, you are actually getting minus 2 marks. You are having negative marking. And with this, you are getting a total of 387 marks. So one can say that simply marks are nothing but, total marks are nothing but correct questions into the marks of correct question, which is 5, plus incorrect questions multiplied by the marks, which is nothing but minus 2. That is the simple equation we have to solve. Whenever you total your marks after the examination, what you do? After checking the answer key, you find out that, okay, this is the correct number of questions I have solved, and these are the incorrect number of questions I have solved. And for the correct questions, you allot the marks, and for the incorrect questions, you deduct the marks, and that is why you get the total marks. That is the same process we are going to do here. So let me just erase the bottom part of it, and we'll write down an equation. So we assume the number of correct questions as 90 minus x into 5 plus the incorrect questions were x and the marks deducted are minus 2, and the total comes out to be how much? 387, right? Here you can see that when we solve this particular equation, we get the value of x, which is nothing but the number of incorrect responses. That is what we have to do. So is the idea of making an equation clear? What did it require to make this particular equation? Just pure common sense, which you do by, adding your marks after prelims examination. So here we have multiplied we have 5 into 90, that is 450, minus 5x minus 2x is 387. Let us take the x on that side and bring this number on the one side. We have 450 minus 387 is equal to 7x. Here when you subtract it, you get the value of 63, I guess. So 7x will be 63. On cancelling it out, you get the value as simply 9. So the number of incorrect responses which you marked were 9. That is option number A. Okay. Moving on to the 10th question now. The 10th question says, for a charity show, the total tickets sold were 420. Now half of the tickets were sold at rate of rupees 5. 1/3 of the tickets were sold at the rate of rupees 3. And the rest, the remaining, were sold at rupees 2 each. So what is the total amount which was received by selling these tickets? The total amount received is question mark. So in this question, we must have the simple idea that total amount will be nothing but number of tickets into price. Okay. So let us assume you are having total 420 tickets and half of them you are selling, that is out of 420 you are selling half. So the total number of tickets will be 420 into 1/2. And you are selling these tickets at the rate of rupees 5. So this is the amount you are receiving by selling half of the tickets at 5 rupees. Further, you are selling the remaining tickets. So how much are the remaining tickets? They are 1/3. So 420 into 1/3. These are the number of tickets, and you are selling them at the rate of rupees 3 each. So this is the price or the amount you are receiving by selling 1/3 of the tickets at the price of 3 rupees. Now you are selling the remaining tickets at the price of 2 rupees each. So what is going to be the number of remaining tickets? So here you have 420 into half. When we just cancel it out, we get the value as 210, right? Here we have this value. If we cancel it out, we get how much? 140 as the number of tickets. So if total tickets are 420, here we have 210, here we have 140. So the number of remaining tickets will be simply 420 minus 210 plus 140, which is equal to 420 minus 350, that is 70. So the remaining 70 tickets are being sold at the price of rupees 2. Okay, so this is the total amount that one will receive by selling these many tickets at these prices, whatever which are given. So total amount will be simply these 210 tickets sold at rupees 5, the remaining 140 tickets sold at rupees 3, and the remaining 70 tickets sold at rupees 2. So when you just simply calculate it, here you have 210 into 5, plus here you have 140 into 3, plus here you have 70 into 2, that is simply 140. Overall you will get, this amount will become 1050, plus here you will get 420, plus here you get 140. When you add all of them up, I think the amount you will get will be around 1610. Okay, so the total amount becomes 1610 rupees. That is, option number C is going to be the correct option in this particular question. Okay, moving on now to this particular question. The idea here will be the same. Okay. Okay, so same idea here also. We have a situation in which a bookseller is selling a number of geography books at the rate of rupees X for book, X per book. So when we talk about geography, what is the number of books? So the number is nothing but A. And what is the rate? Rate is nothing but X rupees per book. When we talk about history, we have A plus 2 number of books and the rate is X plus 2, right? Then we are talking about mathematics books, and for maths we have A minus 2 books which are sold at the rate of X minus 2 rupees. So what is the total sale in rupees? We have to find the total sale which is made at this bookstore. So you must know that the amount received or the total sale which is in rupees is nothing but the number of items sold into the price or the rate of each item. That is the basic idea. So what is the amount you are getting by selling geography books? It is simply the number into the rate, which is A into X. Here you have A plus 2 into X plus 2. And here you will have A minus 2 plus X minus 2. Okay, that is the basic idea. When we add up all these amounts, we get the total amount of sale. That is the basic common sense you have to apply. So now just add them up and get the final answer. So here we have the total amount is AX plus, let us multiply. So A will be multiplied with X, we get AX. Then we have A multiplied by 2, we get 2A. Then this 2 multiplied by X, we get 2X. And then this 2 multiplied by 2, we get a 4. Down here we get A multiplied by X is basically AX. Then A multiplied by minus 2, we get minus 2A. Then minus 2 multiplied by X, we get minus 2X. And further this minus 2 multiplied by minus 2 again becomes plus 4. So here you can see a few things can be cancelled out. So this 2X and minus 2X can be cancelled. Similarly 2A and minus 2A can also be cancelled, as you can see. So the terms remaining are AX plus AX plus AX. They add up to form 3 times AX. What about this 4 and 4? and we add them up, we get 8. So this is the total amount of sale by selling all these books, and that is option number B as the correct option, right? Moving on to the 12th question now. So this question is also based on the idea of equation, but it is slightly complex, so just follow what I do. The question is seemingly long. So the story goes like this. Sunita cuts a sheet of paper into 3 pieces. So let us assume that there is a sheet of paper, right? And she is cutting it into 3 parts. So let us assume the length of the first part is L1, the length of the second part is L2, and the length of the third part is L3. Okay. The question further says that length of first piece is equal to the average of 3 single digit odd prime numbers. Read this part. It is not giving you the value of L1 or the length of first piece directly. It is asking you to actually solve the value of 3 single digit odd prime numbers. So L1 will be nothing but the average of 3 single digit odd prime numbers. What are the odd prime numbers? Single digit. So from 1 to 9 we have to tell the odd numbers. They are simply 3, I think 5, and one more is there 7. Only 3 such single digit odd prime numbers are there. Their average will be what? Just sum the 3 numbers and divide by 3, because there are total 3 terms. So we have 7 plus 5 plus 3, which is 15 by 3, nothing but the value comes out to be equal to 5. Okay, so this is the value of L1. Further it says the length of the second piece is equal to the length of the first plus 1/3 of the length of the third. So it simply says in the second line, it says that the length of the second piece L2 is nothing but equal to that of the first, that is L1, plus 1/3 of the length of the third piece, that is nothing but L3. So we have this another equation, L2 is equal to L1 plus 1 by 3 L3. Now what we can do here is that just send this L1 on the other side. So just follow the process I am doing. To just simplify the equation, we will have L2 minus L1 will be L3 by 3. Now I will just cross multiply this value of 3 here, and I'll get a simpler equation. I'll get L3 will be nothing but 3 times L2 minus 3 times L1, which is like this. So this will be the second equation we are getting. Initially we got the value of L1 as 5. That is also one more information. Now the question further says that the third piece is as long as the other 2 pieces together. So simply you can say that the third equation is nothing but L3 is equal to L1 plus L2. Put very simply, right? These are the 3 equations using which we can find what? We have to find the length of the original sheet of paper, that is we have to find this overall length from here to here, and that will be simply L1 plus L2 plus L3. That is, in this question we have to find the value of what? L1 plus L2 plus L3. So let me write it down on the top. We have to find L1 plus L2 plus L3. Okay. So here we know the value of L1 as simply 5. What about L2 and L3? So we have 2 equations using which we can get the value. Now here you can see that this equation is also in terms of L3. So L3 is equal to something. Here also you have L3 is equal to something. So both of the equations are containing L3. We can equate both, and we can say that this part, that is 3L2 minus 3L1, will be equal to this part, which is L1 plus L2. Now luckily you know the value of L1, which is 5. So here you have 3L2 minus 3 into 5, which is 15, is equal to L1, which is again 5, and L2, that is you have to find out, right? If you take this L2 on the other side and send this minus 15 on the other side, you will simply get here that, let me erase the bottom, not erase, I'll just continue my discussion here. So here we have 3L2 minus L2, which will be basically 2L2, and here we have 5 plus 15, that is 20. when we cancel out the values, we get the value of L2 as equal to 10. So this is the value of L2. So we have got L1, we have got L2. Now how do we get L5? Just simply put the values here. Here we have L3 is equal to L1 plus L2. L1 is nothing but 5. L2 is nothing but 10. So the value of L3 will be 5 plus 10, that is 15. So the size of L3 is going to be 15. Okay. So just put all the values. The value of L1 came out to be 5. The value of L2 came out to be 10. And the value of L3 came out to be how much? 15. When you add up all the values, you get the total length of the sheet as 30. So the correct answer is going to be 30 units. That is option number D. Okay. So I know it was a bit complex, but not that difficult. The only idea here is to just, filter out the necessary information. The calculation is easy. The equation framing is easy, but you have to just figure out whatever information is being provided to you and understand the scenario, which I showed to you by drawing that diagram, which is now erased obviously. So we'll move on to the next question now. This question is slightly bit different. The question says, a biology class at a high school predicted that the local population of the animals will double in size every 12 years. The population in the beginning of the year 2021 was estimated to be 50, right, in the beginning. If P represents the population after n years, then which of the following equations represent the correct model for the prediction of population? Okay. So in this question, some students did some research and they predicted that in this way the population will rise. Okay, and they predicted various equations. Now out of these equations, you have to check which equation is correct. Now the thing is, in this question, he has already provided you with the equation. So you do not need to frame the equation actually. In that way, this question is quite easy. What you have to do is just check for the values. So simply, we'll check the values. So the question says at the beginning, when the number of years which is given by n in the particular equation, n is equal to 0, right? So what should be the population? The population in the beginning is 50. So when n equal to 0, P should be equal to 50. Now let us put the value of n equal to 0 in all these equations and let us check which equation is satisfying the criteria. So if in the first part, if we put the value of n as equal to 0, if we put, here you can see, if we put this part as 0, you get simply the value of P as 12. Similarly, if you put the value of n as 0 in this equation, you get simply the value of P as 50. Here in this case, if you put the value of 2 to the power of 12n, here you put the n as 0, the whole expression will become what? It will become 1. You must know the identity that anything to the power of 0 becomes equal to 1. So here also, if this part becomes 1, you get the population of 50. Similarly, here also, if you put the value of n is equal to 0, the whole exponential part will become 1. And here also you will get the population as 50, right? So you can see that only first equation is not satisfying the criteria. The remaining 3 are satisfying it. All of them are having population as 50. Okay. So let us check further to eliminate. The question informs you that the population of animals will double in size every 12 years. So now we are talking about the beginning. After 12 years, that is when n is equal to 12, the population will double. That is, population will become how much? 50 times 2, that is, the population will become 100. Now let us check if we put the value of n as 100, as n as 12 in the following equations, do we get the population as 100? So let us check that also. So I'm erasing all of it. First equation we already eliminated, so leave that. In the second equation, if we put the value of n as 12, we get the answer as 50 plus 12 into 12, which is nothing but 50 plus 144. And obviously you can see the value is not coming out to be 100. So we just reject the second equation also. What about the third equation? If we check the third equation, we have population as nothing but 50 into 2 to the power 12 into 12, that is 50 multiplied by 2 to the power of 144, obviously this value is very large. So this value is also not be equal to 100, and therefore we can eliminate this option as well. And now we are left with the only option which might be correct. Obviously one has to be correct now. So the correct option which is left is option number D. Let us check for that also. So here if we put the value of n is equal to 12, you get population as 50 into 2 to the power of 12 divided by 12. This can be cancelled out and you will get the value as 50 into 2, that is simply 100. So this is satisfying the criteria, and therefore in this way equation number D is going to be the correct answer in this particular question. So here you do not have to frame an equation, but you have to check whether the equations are following the pattern or not. Okay, so that was quite a simple question in that regard. Now we have this question, question number 14, and this question is, I am warning you already, quite complex. So let us just do it and then we'll think. So we have a group of 630 children which is seated in rows to form a photo group session. Okay, so I want to have a group photo session of various students, and total 630 children are there. So you need to arrange them in various rows. So it says that each row contains 3 less children than the row in front of it. Okay. So which one of the following number of rows is not possible? So if you are making 3 rows, is it possible or not? If you are making 4 rows, is it possible or not? Similarly, we have to check for all number of rows. So in that matter, this is a bit complicated question, but let us proceed. So let us check with the example of 3 rows first. If we are having 3 rows, so these are the 3 rows. Okay. So if the front row is having, suppose x number of children, the next row will have 3 less, which means in this row you will have x minus 3 children, and further in the third row you will have x minus 6 children. Okay, so what are the total number of children in this way? We have x plus x minus 3 plus x minus 6. And how much are the total number of children? They are 630 in number, so we have 630, right? When we add all of it, we get 3x minus 9 is equal to 630. You can have 3x is equal to 639. On further cancellation, you get the value of x to be 213. So if in the first row 213 students are arranged, then 210, and then further, you know how much 207 students are arranged, then they can be possibly arranged in this way. This way of arranging them in 3 rows is possible. Okay, that is the basic idea which we have to follow. So let us try with 4 also and 5 also. When we try the same thing with 4 and 5 na. So let us try this same thing with again 4 and again 5. So we will see that whether is that arrangement possible or not. Okay, so let us draw that diagram again which we drew earlier. So just a minute, so that calculation part is easy for me. I do not memorize the values. So just let me explain you the example. So here we have, let's say, 4 number of rows. So in the front row we will have suppose x students. Then in the next row we will have x minus 3. Further next we will have x minus 6. And in the last row we will have x minus 9. So 4 rows are there now. And this will be the arrangement. Total number of students will be x plus x minus 3 plus x minus 6 plus x minus 9. And overall this sum is nothing but 630. So here you have 630, right? Similarly, if you are having 5 rows, let's say, so we will have 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 rows. Here you have x, x minus 3, x minus 6, x minus 9 and x minus 12. So in each successive row you will have 3 children less. So minus 3, minus 6, minus 9 and minus 12. Here what we have, the total number of children as x plus x minus 3 plus x minus 6 plus x minus 9 plus x minus 12, and this value should also be equal to what? 630. So when you solve the above 2 equations, in one case you get the value of x. So here you will get the value of x as what? You will get the value of x as 162. And in the other case, you will get the value of x as 132. Okay, so if you arrange 162 children in the first row and then 3 less, 3 less, 3 less, you can arrange 630 students. Similarly, here also, if you arrange 132 students in the first row, you can further have overall 5 rows. So these two cases are also possible, 4 and 5. So it is obvious that the last option cannot be possible, but let us check for that also. So suppose we are having 6 rows now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Here we have x, x minus 3, x minus 6, x minus 9, x minus 12 and x minus 15. What is the total number of students? That would be simply x plus x minus 3 plus x minus 6 plus x minus 9. And this sum we want to be equal to 630. So all the number of children in the rows should be equal to 630. But here when you get the value of x, you do not get a good integral value, but you get the value in terms of fraction, which is nothing but 337 by 3. This is the number of students when you arrange them in 6 rows. Obviously, number of students cannot be in fraction. You cannot have a half student. Okay, so you might have heard about that thing, 2.5 men. So if that is for literal, then the half men would have been in very horrible situation, cut into 2 parts from the waist down. So anyways, we do not have number of children as a fraction, right? So the value of x is not possible. So number of children cannot be a fraction. They should be only in terms of integers, about which we read in number system, right? So we cannot have 6 number of rows in this particular discussion of ours. Okay, so I know this was a bit complicated question, so I would advise not to attempt such questions in the first place. Okay, so these are the few questions which you have to leave. The vast majority of the questions are there for you to solve, but some of them are those which you must just salute, just give them a namaste from the proper distance and then leave, move forward. Here we have a very simple question. It says an automobile owner reduces his monthly petrol consumption when the price went up, and the price consumption relationship is like this. So when price is 40, he is consuming 60. When the price is 50, he is consuming 48 liter. When the price is 60, he is consuming 40 liter, and similarly when the price is 75, he is consuming 32 liter. So if the petrol price goes up to rupees 80 per liter, what is expected consumption is to be? So here from various comparison we can see that total expenditure is nothing but the price of petrol per liter into the amount he is consuming. Okay, so the expenditure is nothing but price into consumption. If you check for here the price is 40, the consumption is 60. The expenditure is coming out to be how much? 40 into 60, that is 2400. So here the expenditure is 2400. Similarly, when we have the case of 50 into 48, again the expenditure is coming out to be 2400. So similarly here we have 2400. When we multiply this 60 into 40, again we get 2400, and similarly here also we will get 2400. So in all the cases, total expenditure is coming out to be rupees 2400. Now this question mentions nothing about the expenditure, but this is something that you have to observe. So when you observe that, when you multiply all these values, you get 2400, 2400 and so on. That is the basic idea. So if the price of petrol goes to rupees 80 per liter, he will again be spending rupees 2400 on it. So what will be the consumption? Let us assume the consumption to be x. So you'll get the value of x as nothing but 2400 by 80. Just cancel it out. You will get the value of x as 30. So he will be consuming 30 liters of petrol if the price becomes 80 rupees per liter. So quite a simple question, nothing difficult in that, okay? And so that brings us to the last question of this particular discussion. And this question is not that difficult. You have to just understand the scenario and you can just solve it in no time. Okay guys? So in this question we have, in a race, a competitor has to collect 6 apples which are kept in a straight line on a track, and a bucket is placed at the beginning of the track, which is the starting point. Now the condition is that the competitor has to pick only 1 apple at a time, run back with it and drop it in the bucket. And if he has to drop all the 6 apples which are there in the bucket, how much total distance he will have to run if this is the particular scenario that the bucket is 5 meters from the first apple and all other apples are placed 3 meters apart. This question is having a lot of information, and a lot of information can be visualized very easily if you draw a correct diagram. That is going to be our approach. So let us say that this is the track which he is talking about. You are placing a bucket at the starting point. So suppose this is the starting point and here you are having a bucket, right? And then you are having some apples. Overall you are having 6 apples. So this is apple 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and further you have the 6th apple, right? So let me just give them a nice red color so that they look real. Now what you have to do, that you have to pick, and so number them also with apple 1, apple 2, apple 3, 4, 5 and 6. Now what you have to do is that you have to start from here, from the starting point, run there, pick this first apple, come back, throw the apple in the bucket, then go again to the second apple, pick it up, bring it up to the bucket, and then move ahead for the third apple, then come back, 4th apple, come back, 5th and 6th. That is the process we have to follow. Okay, and what is the dimensions being given to us? The question is saying that here from the bucket to the first apple, the distance is 5 meter, and further the distance among all the buckets is 3 meter. So I'm just writing 3 meter, 3 meter and 3 meter for all of them, right? So this is the scenario. If you actually draw this very simple diagram and try to picturize in your brain that what is the thing going on, it is not that difficult of a question now. So please tell me, what is the distance he has to run if he has to catch the apple 1? So in order to get the apple 1, he'll go from here to here, 5 meter, and then come back 5 meter. So the distance will be 5 into 2, that is 10 meters. What next? In order to get the next apple, it is apple number 2, he has to run a distance of 5 plus 3, that is 8 meter, and come back 8 meter. So for A2, the distance he has to travel is 8 into 2, that is 16 meter. And now you can observe a pattern. If for the second apple he is running 8 meter and then 8 meter, for the next apple he will be running 8 plus 3, that is 11, and then coming back 8 plus 3, that is 11. So now we will have 11 into 2 meter. But the idea is that he is running additional 3 meter ahead and 3 meter back. Okay, so whatever distance he was running to the second apple, he is running 3 meter more and coming back 3 meter more. So overall distance will be nothing but this A3 you can write as nothing but 16 meter, which was the distance to reach up to apple 2, further 3 meter and further coming back 3 meter, that is 2 into 3 meter, and the overall distance becomes 16 plus 6, that is how much? 22 meter, right? So this is a shorter way of doing the same thing. You do not need to actually add up all the distances. You must have to understand that for each apple you have to move 6 meters more, 3 in the forward direction and 3 in the back direction. Similarly for the apple 4, so let us write A4 now here. For apple 4 he has to run Previously he ran 22 meters. Further he will have to run 3 and 3, that is 22 plus 6, that is 28 meters, right? Similarly for the apple 5, let's call it A5. He will have to run a distance of this 28 plus 3 and 3, that is 28 plus 6. That is how much? 34 meter. And finally A6, that distance will be how much? 34 plus 3 and plus 3, that is 34 plus 6. That is equal to nothing but 40 meters. So in order to get all the 6 apples, this will be the total distance. So just find the total distance as nothing but A1 plus A2 plus and so on till A6. We have to just add up all these values we are getting, and the final value we'll get as simply, here we have 10 plus 16 plus we have 22 plus we have 28, then we have 34, and then we have 40. When you add up all these values, okay, the sum comes out to be how much? The sum comes out to be 150, and therefore correct answer will be 150 meter. And it is quite simple. You do not have to actually add. You can just see that, see, this is 40 here itself. So how can the total be 40? It is wrong. You can eliminate it. Similarly, all these values are adding up to create something obviously greater than 100, because here you have 40, then 30, then 30. Obviously the sum is going to be greater than 100. You can eliminate all the 3 options and tick the correct option, which is 150. So in this way, guys, we have completed one session of miscellaneous, and we are just one more video away from completing the whole of CSAT discussion. Okay, so thank you so much, guys.